Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida, and we are here to wind down your weekend, sorta. We are going to be talking about all of this week's new and indie and small press releases. As always, I'm Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about my favorite books and all of the books that came out this week, which we all realize at the end of every week they're all my favorites. We are here early this week because we are going to be closing up a little early from our live stream tonight because we've got some friends and family in town, so we are going to be going out to say hi to them. So we're here a little early. We also are here without wine, so that's why we're kind of winding down your weekend this weekend, but we are at least here to talk about all the comics. I don't have a wine to talk to you about because you shouldn't drink and drive, so we're not going to, but we are going to still be having a lot of fun, and I wanted to go over a couple of things we did this last week and a couple things coming up this week that are going to be a ton of fun that you won't want to miss on. So this last week we had an awesome chance to once again host our friends from Also Youth, and we had a really fun Story Cubes night where we told stories. We all rolled the Story Cube dice and told told different stories using the same 9 elements in order to craft our original tales. Other than that, we also had the awesome time yesterday of going to the Rocky Bluff Library for their career fair. It was so cool to get to spend time with the tweens, teens, and their parents as we talked about what it means to work in a comic store, what it means to make comics, all kinds of fun stuff related to the comic book industry. We got to play some games. They got to win some prizes. It was a ton of fun. Thank you, Rocky Bluff Library and Jen over there for having us. And then, of course, we were out at the Marauders game for their doubleheader yesterday, which was awesome. The last fireworks night of the season. Today was their last home game, but they have one more week left of play, so you can still, if you have your stats and you're watching it, you can still track the Marauders for one more week, but they will be playing away games for the rest of their season. But we had so much fun. We handed out over 250 comics to our community partners, kids, family members, all. It was so great. There's so many of you. I think there was almost 3,000 people at the game last night, and I love that we got to see so many of you taking pictures with our new buddy Leonardo and picking up comics and making comics. It was awesome. Tons of fun. As always, thank you to our incredible partners at the Bradenton Marauders and the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a wonderful season for us to share with you for like all 30 games that we got to go to. It was amazing. Thank you so much for having us out there. And a big shout out to our buddy Travis over at the Marauders for all he does to get all these community organizations a chance to be spotlighted at the games and to just celebrate community that we have here in Bradenton. This week coming up, I have not posted the calendar yet. It's going to go up tomorrow. We are waiting on one last thing to confirm. There's a lot going on in the month of September. One of the things that we will be having, I believe this week, is a manga meetup on Wednesday. We also have, I believe, Story Spelunkers. Don't quote me on any of this because I haven't put the calendar up. So what am I thinking? Just check our Instagram and our Facebook tomorrow and Tuesday for all of the events and the calendar to drop, because there's going to be a ton of fun stuff. The month of September does also include our Badiversary, which is our anniversary of being here in Bradenton and also just being Bat City. And we are celebrating 2 years in Bradenton, 6 years as a business overall, so it's very exciting. We're going to celebrate that with y'all on September 28th, which is also local comic shop day. So I'm really excited to get to have tons of fun and have a secret sale that you're going to hear more about later on, and all kinds of exciting things going on. So keep your eyes peeled for that calendar and those events and all of that information, because there is a ton coming your way, and there are some more adult events happening in the month of September, so you definitely want to keep your eyes out for those as well. Like I said, though, we are going to talk about some comics, and we're going to do it without wine. We're going to water down our weekend. I don't know. I'm going to take a drink of this water, though, before we get into our comics. We're gonna get those going because there's some great books I want to tell you all about this week. First up is Saga number 68 from Image Comics. if you have been reading Saga, you've been in on this since like 2014, so you know there's a giant universe that's here. But Saga is the story of one girl and her family and their experiences, essentially just being traveling refugees after a war zone that they were raised in. She is the child of two people who are from warring moons who fell in love while working like within that war zone. And when she was born, they had to find a new place to be. They had to find new ways to live. And over the last 68 issues, massive things have happened. Family members have come and gone. Love has been gained and lost. And we are seeing more of our teenagers for our main character. And she is kind of dealing with some big things right now, like wanting to make friends, wanting to know what it's like to like kind of get away with the authority like that you're with, like, you know, weighing in on you, kind of starting to just have those plain teenage moments. And so Hazel's kind of dealing with that. Meanwhile, her adopted little brother, is having some major issues of his own and feeling some guilt of being related to the people that have started all of these war zones in the first place. And we are just going to see so much going on again and again with this family. Always a very character-driven story. If you've never checked out Saga before, grab that first trade paperback, which may still be $9.99, I think, and jump into those first 4 issues. Or you can always grab the first issue. They do make a $1 reprint from Image, so you can check it out and see if it's for you. It's a little bit of everything, a little bit sci-fi, a little bit fantasy, a little bit adventure, very family oriented and for the characters, but very not family oriented for who you read it with. It has very mature moments. Don't read it with your children. It's actually like very adult on that side, but you know, gives you those feels of all that. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures issue 16 from IDW. For those of you who are fans of the Ninja Turtles cartoon, this is your cartoon in comic book form. And over the course of the last few issues, we have seen the Ninja Turtles going against a pantheon of new villains from another dimension. And in this last issue, they were put into a pocket dimension where the villains were going to try to convince them that they were the good guys, so that they would be able to come to Earth and take over Earth. And so they have all the turtles in mind control. And Michelangelo is able to break free of that because the other guys didn't know what pizza was in his mind control, and he knew that had to be fake. There was no world in any world that the turtles didn't know what pizza was. And so now Michelangelo is trying to free his brothers so that they can get their fight on and stop these bad guys. And, you know, as the turtles always do, they come up with a smart plan that doesn't actually really involve any fighting, but mostly just involves bad guys making stupid decisions until the turtles win. And adventure continues. So if you've got a little one who likes Turtles cartoons, if you are somebody who likes turtle cartoons and you just want to keep going with the adventures that you love so much, this is the perfect series to do that. Most of it kind of reads anthology-esque like episodes, but just like any other series of TV shows, every once in a while you're going to have 2 to 3 issues that go together. And they are in our kids section, yes. So if you are looking for them, when you come to our store, they're not going to be on the main wall with the regular Ninja Turtles. They're going to be in the kids section in their own little spot. We've got Void Rivals, issue 12 from Image Skybound. And this is the, cornerstone of your Energon universe, which is your Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. And this is Robert Kirkman writing this story. And this is all about 2 people who are from warring planets who have thought that they were very different and that they should never come into contact with each other. They should only attack each other. And they end up crash landing on a planet together while they are fighter pilots trying to attack each other. And these 2 realize very quickly that they are actually the same, and that they might have all been the same species and the same group of people the entire time, and that there is something afoot with their people that is trying to keep them apart, and that there's some kind of intergalactic political scandal and scheme that is causing a lot of destruction and mayhem for the people. And so they are trying to kind of figure out how to stop that. And we get to see some little bits of hints about the crossovers into the main Energon universe. And I can't wait to see how this is going to fully connect, as I'm sure it will eventually. We do have a Transformer who is appearing in this book, but we're going to see where else this is going to go as it continues. But honestly and truthfully, like, if you were like, I don't really care about Transformers or G.I. Joe, I just want a good space opera, Void Rivals is kind of the one to go to for that, because it really doesn't put a lot of emphasis on that Energon universe. It's just kind of a good warring universes. We've got The Sacrificers, issue 11 from Image Comics, and The Giant Generator, which is Rick Remender's imprint. This is one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. This is absolutely a fantastic comic book in every capacity. It's my favorite Rick Remender book by far, hands down, for his entire career. And this is the story of a world where there are gods who rule over all the different domains, like, you know, the elements of fire, the ocean, the moon, all the different pieces of the puzzle. And in this world, they require that every family raise and give one sacrifice to the gods. And so they are using this sacrifice. What the people think is that they're using this sacrifice to build them like a priesthood and servants and things like that. But we know is that they are using these sacrifices to prolong their life through this magical elixir. And one such sacrifice has discovered the truth and is running amok to try to bring them down. Meanwhile, the daughter of the gods is also having her own experiences that are kind of showing her the other side and what's been going on. It's absolutely beautiful. It is some of Rick Remender's best writing. It's fantastic story, fantastic characters, fantastic world building. If you're not reading it, I don't even care what genre of literature you like. This is such a good book that you should be checking it out. We've got Knights, issue 10 from Image Comics. This is, I always say it every time this book comes out, this is like if you put a Miyazaki movie into the American kind of culture, this is what you would see from it. And it involves a group of kids who, this is good, this is no spoilers. A group of kids, one is a young boy who's come to live with his cousin who has a secret that may or may not be very werewolf-esque. We have a vampire who's the town vampire, and we have a ghost who is a skeleton. And we have learned over the course of time that there are many different things that control each of these people and what they're all, like, their different connection pieces are. But in this issue, Matt, the ghost, aka skeleton, has decided that he needs to figure out what it is that caused his death and that's causing all of his anger, and maybe it's time for him to figure out if he wants to cross over. And so we actually get to see Matt's backstory of where he was and how he died from his memories, which we've seen it from other people's memories, but we've never seen it from Matt's. And we get to learn a little bit more about what it means to be a ghost and what it means to hold on to that anger. This was such a great issue. Matt's my favorite character of all of them, and so I want to see him be happy, and I definitely don't want to see him cross over because I don't want him to leave me. But this story was so good, and I love the way we got to see his previous friends group and the connection to the current friends group and just everything that goes in with what has happened with his death. But also we know what actually happened with his death as the readers, and so that secret is kind of like looming guiltily in your own mind while you're reading about Matt trying to figure it out as well. So you're like, oh, I know what happened and I feel bad that I can't tell you, because he definitely does not know the truth that we do. We've got Negaduck from the Darkwing Duck universe, issue 7. Is it 7? 8. Just kidding. No, it is 7. It is 7? It is 7. Sorry. Okay, no, you're good. This is from Dynamite and their Disney imprint. And if you are a fan of Darkwing Duck, this is a fantastic series to be following along. It just gives you a little bit more. We had our Darkwing Duck title. We currently have our Justice Ducks, which is kind of the Justice League of the Darkwing universe. And this is following Darkwing's major villain, Negaduck, who has been trying to figure out a place in society for himself and a new way for him to reign as the supreme villain. And he's found a different group of people that have taken him in, and they kind of were just like, we're just villains, we don't really do anything, but we're here and we have this great, like, we all have these cool powers and stuff, but like if we do stuff we'll get caught, and then what's the point of having all these cool powers and cool tech? Like, and things if we're just caught in prison. And Negaduck, that's not good enough for him, so he has decided to just run away with himself and so many of the villains from there for mischief. Just different thievery and honestly just mayhem in general. And they don't necessarily take too kindly with how Negaduck is running things, and so they decide to take matters into their own hands from this secret society of villains. And you see how that is going to at least start to play out for Negaduck and the bad choices he makes, and we'll see how that continues to go for him as we get into issue 8 to come. We've got Acolyte issue 6 from Concrete Comics. I am so excited to see a small press book like this go for this many issues, and the fact that it's still going to keep going after this makes me really excited. But Acolyte is a hero who has been working to defend the Earth. He's kind of just like learned his powers, and immediately upon learning his powers had to deal with the fact that there was like an invasion against Earth, and he solved all of that and then goes out into space and is like, you guys can't keep messing with stuff and doing all these things that you're doing, and takes out like even more people. And then he ends up meeting this person who's like essentially going to train him even further into his powers. And as that is happening, and we enter into this book where we're kind of seeing that he knows that he's going to have to go after the people who started the invasion against Earth and everything. And so he's kind of training, but also setting up a trap so that he can go after those people. And in this issue, that is exactly what he does, is he lays his trap that leads him to the woman they call Mother, the woman who is the supreme ruler of this evil entity. And getting caught, he thinks he's pulling one of his great plans where he knows that he's got everything under control and he's going to be able to figure it out no matter what. But that plan does not go the way that he thought it was going to go. And so we see Acolyte in some trouble by the end of this issue, and we're going to see if he can make his way out of it. Sometimes superheroes get a little boisterous and bold and think that they have everything under control, and they don't. And it's nice to see them fall sometimes and learn that, you don't always have the right answer immediately. We've got Last Mermaid issue 6 from Image Comics, and this is going to be the end of story arc 1, I believe, for Last Mermaid. I think this is where we're going to take our trade break, if I recall, but this is going to keep going for a while still. But this is all about a mermaid who is in a post-apocalyptic world, and so it is dry and desert everywhere, and she needs to figure out how to get to the sacred place where there should be an ocean and she should be safe. And she has this giant mech suit that gives her water that can keep her safe as she's traveling, and in that water lives her best friend Lottie inside with her, who is an axolotl. And they have been working their way through this desert wasteland trying to find their space, and they end up meeting a new friend, and he's like, I have been to that place that you're looking for. I know where you're trying to get. I can get you there. We can be safe. But along the way, they keep running into these mutants who are people who were, affected by this apocalypse and this radiation, and they are constantly in these battles, and they're just trying to survive long enough to get to the place that they're going to have to go in order for her to find her sacred ocean, as it were. I love the way that their friendship is developing between these two. Obviously, Lottie is amazing, and it's just such a cinematic adventure in this story. I'm glad to see that it's going to keep going. I can't wait to see what we get as the story unfolds a little bit more. I did read there is a letter at the back of this book, and I'm so glad that Derek put it in there, because a lot of people are picking this up for children. And there's a letter from an uncle in the back of the book that's like, hey, Derek, I really love this story. It's been fantastic. But I've been giving the issues because it had the cute axolotl and everything. And that's my niece's favorite animal. So I started giving the issues to my niece, who's 7. But I noticed that in the last couple issues, like, there's been, some profanity. Is that going to continue? Is it going to be okay for me to continue to give the book to the young people? And Derek did make a point to say this book is labeled as Teen Plus, and the reason why is mostly just the profanity. He's not putting profanity in just to put profanity in, but it's a disastrous world with battles and apocalyptic situations, and so sometimes somebody might say things like damn and things like that, and so he wants readers to know, like, hey, just so you're aware, there is going to be profanity like that at times, and so if that is something that you don't want your child to read or a family member to see, it is going to continue in the series. So as you continue to pick up the next volume, just know that if you are somebody that's sharing it with kids, there is going to be some profanity, but it's never going to be like just vulgar for vulgar's sake is what Derek wanted people to know. So, make your choices. It's a great book, though, and honestly, like, with those couple of instances here and there aside, I can understand why kids love it too, because it's so good. We've got Drawing Blood, issue 5 from Image Comics. This is the story of a comic creator who created a wonderful universe of lovable characters that were turned into a cartoon and a major property, and he made a ton of money off of it, and lots of terrible decisions immediately following after that. And so we are following him now as he is older, and Books, as they call him, is trying to kind of keep his life together because it's not very together. So he's like, how am I going to recover? Like, I can't make a book that's as good as the one that I used to make. So he's making a musical that is very Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. He has a movie that is coming out that is about his original property, which are these rag dolls. You're going to see them right here. It is very, if you didn't know, essentially Kevin Eastman and the Ninja Turtles. And so it's kind of supposed to be like a fantastical version, hopefully, of what happened with Kevin Eastman and the Ninja Turtle story. And so he is currently having to deal in this issue with essentially the Michael Bay director producer who's trying to make the movie out of his characters, who wants this big blockbuster and is changing their origin stories to aliens and not mutants and all of this stuff, and he's dealing with that, and they're like, you have to come out and get on the set because people need to see you there, they need to know that you're in favor of it. And so he's also like got the FBI interested in why there's all these like foreign mobsters coming after him and what he's been doing with his money, and his ex-wife is now making an adult film out of his characters, and he's like, I have to deal with all of this stuff and I don't really know what's going on. Meanwhile, somebody is making a documentary of all of this, and she's just like, what is wrong with this human? Why are you ridiculous, like unable to keep yourself together human? I don't understand what's going on. This book is, you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll wonder how much of it is really Kevin Eastman's life and what that man is up to. And it's really cool because anytime he has flashbacks to stuff, like those are actually like drawn by Eastman in Eastman style. So it's really cool to see, but it's fantastic. It's a great look at the industry. Like there's even a line in here, like he gets taken in by the FBI, so they do like the van, like cover your head, throw you in the back kind of thing. And when he shows up to his office the next day, they're like, what was going on? Why did you get thrown into a van? What was that all about? And he was like, Frank Miller, he does things like that sometimes. And they're like, that checks out. Yeah, okay. And it's just like, so you get these little industry jokes that are just really, really fun and exciting. We've got The Crying Boy, issue 4 from Keen Spot, and this is our very open-ended, perfectly crafted ending, I should say, issue for The Crying Boy. I could not have imagined them coming up with a better way to end this story for them. But this is all about a woman and her son who, she has just lost her husband, so he has lost his father. They move into a new apartment, and there's this weird portrait that is hanging in the thing. And soon they find the young boy possessed by the spirit of whatever darkness is inside of that portrait. And initially a priest comes and tries to help her. She doesn't want it. Lots of bad things happen over the course of 4 issues. And now at the beginning of this issue, or really the end of the last issue, the priest comes back and is like, I'm the only one who can help you. Like, there's nothing secular that can save you. And honestly, like, we're not even going to call on God. We have to call on more demons, because I have been trying to beat this, and you find out for how long, and I can't do it. So the only thing that can save your child now is a greater demon. And you get to see this priest kind of like completely turn sides and try to fight this thing, and the mom try to figure out a way to save her son. And it is wicked, it is cool, and again, it's got this perfectly done open ending where you're like, that's the beat that the movie needs to end on kind of moment, where you're like, yep, it's so cool. Let's go with it. But yeah, if you didn't read Crying Boy and you like exorcist and demonic possession kind of stories, you should definitely check it out. Didn't know that's where that was going to go when I started reading it, and as the 4 issues have come to an end, I definitely think that anybody who's into that will definitely enjoy it. We've got The Butcher's Boy issue 4 from Dark Horse, and this is our wrap up for this as well. This is all about a group of people who are friends, and they're gonna go on their annual adventure to a fun, happy lake where they always go and celebrate. But one guy's got a new girlfriend, and new girlfriend is like, hey, I don't want to go there. Let's go to my favorite place. It's this cool place that I've been studying. It's like haunted. It's one of those like creepy towns. Let's just stop there and see like what the weird story is of this place. And they go there, and immediately they're like all getting in fights. Everything is terrible. The car is like out of gas. They're stuck there. Your typical like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of setup. And then they eat in this restaurant, and they find out that like there's this legend of a butcher boy, and the butcher boy basically has been killing people in this town for hundreds of years. And there's they're just like lambs to the slaughter in this town now. And so you get a nice little slasher film, essentially, that is also going to have a little bit of like horrific possession kind of moments to it too, and some nice little twists and turns. So if you're into slashers, this is definitely a good one. But if you've got to have like that, I want a slasher, but I want a weird, eccentric, like, this isn't the typical way I take my slashers. But this issue 4, is all about our final girl moment and seeing whether or not she can make it out alive. Is that going to happen? Or is it not? And is living really all it's cracked up to be if you are the one that is chosen to survive? We're going to see when we read The Butcher's Boy. Definitely read The Butcher's Boy if you want some weird, creepy stuff. William of Newbury, issue 4. This is going to be the end of the first volume. This is a Dark Horse comic that we're definitely going to see coming back again. And this is the story of the most adorable priest in the world doing exorcist. He is a little raccoon. His name is William, and William very much believes that as a priest, his job is to protect all of the people of all of the towns around them and anywhere like beyond that he can. And his brother, who is like in charge of the priesthood, does not think that him and William should be getting involved in the things that William does. In the first issue, William goes to a town and performs an exorcism, and in the process becomes friends with a young thief. And they start going around and breaking the rules so that they can do more exorcisms. But in issue 3, William was caught by the people of the church, and he's brought back, and he's kind of like essentially imprisoned and chosen to just like he's forced to like just translate documents and do all that kind of stuff. And William's not really excited about it, but his thief friend comes and breaks him out so that they can go help these green children, which are a thing you hear about in like alien stories a lot, and other folklore. But they, some of it's believed they're aliens. Some people believe they were fairies. This story goes with the fae concept, and so they go back to try to save these children, only to find out that William's brother has actually also gone, because he believes that fairies were the ones that stole his and William's souls, and that's why he's been trying to keep them away from demons so that nothing else could happen to them. And they now all 3 have to go on this adventure to kind of try to fight for these kids and themselves before it's too late. I really like the way this wrapped up, and just because you just get like this great line at the end that's like basically like, all of this was pointless. Why are y'all dumb? And I loved it. And so, but it's great, and I can't wait to see more of William in the future. We've got Grommets number 4 from Image. This is just your perfect like teen summer like story, honestly, like almost slice of life for teens in the 80s, 90s kind of time period. I guess it's 80s. But they are a bunch of kids who really love skateboarding, and they are trying to, it's 2 guys who are just like the kids who can't make friends with anybody. They both have terrible home lives, and you know, they kind of find each other with their ideas that they're great skateboarders, but neither one of them is a great skateboarder. And they're in that moment where they're like, oh, we got to find our, you know, we got to find some chicks that'll like us, and we want to show off and be cool. And so in this issue, our main character finds out that his dad, who is a very toxic and abusive parent, has decided that they are moving away, and he's mad because he finally has a friend, and he has a girl that wants to date him, and he's mad about it, and he goes over to his friend's house, and his friend is like, I had a terrible day, and here's why my day was so terrible, and he's trying to tell him all about it, and he's like, you don't even care that I was already telling you that I had a terrible day. And they took this fight because they both have these terrible lives, and they feel like nobody cares about them. And then everybody shows up because they're supposed to be having a party just to watch a movie together. And, you know, and then the party gets interrupted by the cool kids at school who found out that there's a party. And so we've got that typical teen problem of the non-popular kids trying to throw like a cool hangout and getting suddenly everything is torn up and messed up, and this seems to be the story of their lives, and we're going to see how these kids get out of it, or don't. I'm sure they'll get caught because they seem like the kids who always do. We've got Sanction issue 4 from Mad Cave. Holy crap, this story just like keeps going deeper and digging it deeper and deeper down. This is all about a guy who is a detective in Soviet Russia, and he is the only person who is actually like investigating cases. You know, nobody wants to do anything that's going to upset the balance. And so when a woman is murdered and he decides he's going to look into it, they tell him to just let it go, call it good. He, of course, can't do that. And as he continues his investigation, he finds out that this is connected to multiple murders. And now, at this point, he's now connecting it to like 30 different cases. And the higher-ups are like, why are you saying that people are involved in this, that are part of the leadership? And are you saying that your friends are just letting it go? And they're like his partner is like, nope, that's definitely not what he's saying. Like, let's just like push it under the rug. And he's like, wait, why would you do that? He's like, dude, because you're gonna die. They're gonna kill us both. They don't want us to tell them that we know that they're doing bad things. Like, you can investigate stuff like this. And we start to see how exactly right his friend is as people start to come after them in this issue, and whether or not he's going to be able to continue to be the detective he wants to be before he, you know, gets killed. It's gonna be what happens. It just turns it up every issue. Like, you're like, oh man, this is as intense as this book's gonna get, and then something else happens and it gets more and more intense every time. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Black, White, and Green issue 4 from IDW. This is a fun anthology series that just lets you have some just different kinds of turtle fun. Some are more like the animated series, some are more like the recent run, some are very just all over the place. The first one is a story of the legends of 4 turtle spirits from feudal Japan, and just kind of the reflected piece that they are of the Ninja Turtles, and kind of just shows us this this Master Splinter telling the turtles a story of these turtles that kind of saved everybody when the winds of, like, these dangerous winds blew through that brought these evil spirits that tried to kill the other animals. And these turtles literally stood up and saved everyone. And we just kind of get to see how they reflect the Ninja Turtles. And then we have another story that is Turtles News Tonight. And Michelangelo is being the newscaster. And he's talking about the Shredder and just different times that the Turtles have defeated the Shredder. And what's hilarious is it's literally just the different incarnations of the Turtles. It's like how they beat him in the original comic, and then it's like how did they beat them in the movie, and then how did they defeat him in the animated series, and then it's how the story of Last Ronin plays out. There's so many of you that are still reading that, so I'm not going to tell you anything or show you the pages of that. And it just keeps going, and it's just so funny to see Michelangelo tell that story. And then we have a story about Donnie becoming an android and feeling like he doesn't need his brothers anymore because he's a robot, and not like he's more cyborg than he is turtle, and cyborgs don't need a family. And his family is like, yes you do, you'll always need us, we'll always be there for you, doesn't matter. And then the last one is a story of them having to deal with some past, present, and future kind of threats, and just like whether or not the turtles are ever going to be ready for all of the things that they have to go through. It's just a really cool story. So if you're a fan of the Ninja Turtles, this is a great way to get some fun anthology stories going on. We've got Cult of the Lamb, issue 3 from Oni Press. This is just absolutely adorably demonic in every way. This is about, it is based off the video game. I have a lot of people who ask me that, but it is. And it is essentially the deeper version of that story. It is all about a little lamb who is sacrificed, and when he goes to the afterlife, he's given the opportunity by like a demon deity to return to his world if and only if he will destroy all of the like evil priesthood that's kind of like taken over and like become corrupt. And in the process, he also is supposed to start a cult to this new entity. And he's like, look, I just want to go back and get my own revenge. I don't really care about your revenge. But he ends up doing it anyway because he just can't not save the people that need to be saved like himself. And now in this issue, he has found that being in charge of a bunch of people is hard, because he's like, oh, I brought you all here. Aren't you thankful? Like, I gave you a safe space. I do my job. I keep you from being attacked by other people. And they're like, yeah, but we don't have any food. We don't have any water. We don't have enough space for everybody to live. And he's like, how is that my problem? And they're like, because you're in charge. And he's like, nobody told me being in charge came with all of these problems too. And so now he has to go back and figure out how to stop it. But he's been so nervous about leaving to go find the food or to take on all of the bad guys he's supposed to be fighting, because he got a prophecy told that somebody was going to betray him, and he's worried that if he leaves anybody behind, that they will in fact betray him, and he will lose everything that he has. And so it's kind of becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it's kind of making everybody like angry, and so obviously somebody's going to want to betray him. But we're going to see how it plays out for our little lamb, because he's so adorable, and I just want a plushie of him that I can hug and while I read the book. We've got The Mammoth, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is the story of a bunch of eco-scientists who are out doing some research on a place, and while they're doing that research, what is like a giant earthquake happens. We don't know what. It doesn't have like the seismology readings that it should for an earthquake, but something comes and one of them is killed, and we learn that she was the one who was killed was dating another one of the members of the team. And so you have this tragic situation where they're very sad because they lost their partner and they've lost their friend. And so they've decided that they're all going to investigate what actually happened, especially because our alleged dead girl, Olivia, is now back. And she's like, I need your help. Not only is she back saying that, but so are hundreds of thousands of other dead people that they're running into. And they are trying to figure out what all these people need help for and where they're trying to lead them and what all this bad stuff is. And they have attempted to take Olivia to the direction that she's looking in, because she's constantly wandering off like in this one direction, and they cannot seem to figure out where she's going and what it is that she's looking for. And the further into the forest and the sea and everywhere else that they go, the worse things get for them. And what is on their other side, and what is this mammoth that we still don't know about? Your guess is as good as mine, but we're going to find out. And it's Paul Tobin writing it, so it's just going to get like crazier as it goes, and I can't wait to see how confused I get. We've got The Anansi Boys, issue 3 from Dark Horse. This is the story of a man who, at the very beginning of issue 1, finds out that his father has passed away. And he doesn't really have a big connection with his father, but he decides he's going to go home to the funeral. Well, when he does, he finds out his father was actually a god. And he's like, okay, whatever. Like, my father was not a god. And also, if he was a god, then how did he die? And they're like, I don't know. The best way to figure that out is to talk to your brother. And he's like, well, I don't have a brother. And they're like, yeah, you do. If you want to find your brother, just tell a spider. And he goes back and he thinks that all these people are weird and crazy. And one night he decides in a drunken stupor that maybe he does want to see if there's any truth to it. And so he finds a giant spider in his bathtub, and he's taking it outside. And he just is like, hey, if you see my brother, let him know I'm looking for him. And lo and behold, after a crazy vivid dream, a man shows up and is like, hey, I'm your brother. Call me Spider. And he's like, let's talk. And he's like, what did you need? And he's like, wanted to talk about Dad and all this stuff, and we are going to figure out exactly how these two boys are related, what their dad's deal is, and maybe a little bit more about the life. Anansi is a spider god, so that is the reference there, and obviously that's going to be a big part of what comes into the story, but we're going to figure out what exactly all of this plays into as the story unfolds and the web continues to spin, I guess. Remote Space, issue 3 from Image Comics. If you are a sci-fi fan, this is the book for you. This is one of the most like traditional sci-fi stories on the shelf right now. This is all about, essentially, in our future, we have like people basically try to save humanity in two different ways. One is like by doing upgrades to their body like cybernetically, and one is by doing them by like other forms and crazy things. And now those two kinds of people have been at war with each other for a long time, and there is this one man who essentially knew all the secrets to everything and was like the most dangerous and or the most helpful, depending on how you want to look at it. And they believe that he has been killed, but now rumors of his death are wildly being disproven or circulating, and that information has gone out. And so we are seeing people trying to be the first ones to find him and get to him and kind of recover whatever information he has. Meanwhile, on Earth, we have one girl who is working. She is somebody who hasn't really had much in the form of cybernetic enhancements, and she hasn't had any of the like chemical enhancements. In fact, she supposedly has like the Earth disease, but has no symptoms of the regular humanity disease. And so she's like this rare anomaly, and they believe she must know something about what's going on, and so they are now after her and her mission, and we're going to figure out what happens. There's only one issue of this left, and I don't have any clue how they are going to solve everything that happens in this story in one more issue, but we're going to figure it out when we read issue 4. We've got Biker Mice from Mars, issue 2 from Oni Press, the big Oni Press beat. This is such a fun, like, again, experience for people who were fans of the cartoon. This is bringing it back, and so we are following the Biker Mice from Mars. There is a massive war on Mars. People are trying to take out the planet. They're attacking them left and right, and our biker mice have kind of stayed out of it, other than to help their own people in their own community. And at the end of issue 1, one of them is convinced that they should all join the military and fight like with the team behind them. And so we start out this issue with them actually trying to do just that. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna do this. We hate being in the military, but we're gonna do it the right way. Well, they find out that the bad guys have come for their hometown now that they're not there, and their own families are in trouble. And they're like, look, we tried to do it the right way, but like, we need to go back to our family, and like the military needs, like, are y'all going to come with us? Are y'all actually going to help? And the military leader is like, no, our mission is to stay here and defend this like base. And they're like, but there's people in danger, our people. And they're like, well, that's not our problem. And they're like, well, it's our problem. And so the biker mice realize that maybe the best thing they can do is just be their own group and actually like go out and save them. And we're going to see if they can break away and get there in time in order to actually save the other adorable mice that live on Mars. But again, if you're a fan of the cartoon, great. If you've never seen the Biker Mice from Mars cartoon, this book does a really great job of making it accessible to everybody. I honestly don't remember Biker Mice from Mars at all, like 0% remember them. I remember that they existed, but I don't remember ever actually seeing anything of them. And I feel like I know these characters just from reading this book. So it is accessible for everybody. We've got Hello Darkness, issue 2 from Boom Studios with this wicked awesome Jenny Frison cover. This is a horror anthology that is coming your way from Boom. I'm going to say this really fast before I open it up. In issue 1, there was a Something is Killing the Children story that was supposed to be like exclusive to Hello Darkness, and the internet has maybe already told you this, but this issue, it was supposed to continue in issue 2 of Hello Darkness. It is not in here. So we don't know. We're going to figure it out later on, but don't don't freak out if you get this issue and it's not in there. It's not like a mistake on yours. There's just not a something is killing the children story in here. The first story, though, that is in here is all about a woman who sees a sign advertising for a clown for a birthday party, and she was told, like, don't ever call the number, and so she doesn't. But somehow the clown still shows up at the birthday party and seems to, like, control the minds of all the children, and all of these crazy, terrible things start happening, specifically to, like, the birthday child, and all the other children go home with some weird, crazy stuff, and clowns are freaky, and they do weird things to terrorize children in horror movies. And then we get Stargazers, which is about this couple that's on a first date, and they're just kind of chilling and talking about stuff, sitting on a car watching the world go round, and they each have a secret of what they are planning for this date and how they are planning for it to go down. And I'm not actually going to show you anything from that story because the whole thing is about the reveal of the secret. And then you get another story that is just oh my gosh, it's just about some people basically just going after a corporate entity that, like, they're like, we pledge to be, like, carbon free by this date, and they're like, not good enough, like, you didn't do this and this and this. And so it's just kind of fun to see a very easy horror kind of story, but in a Wes Craig, who does Kaya art style. And then lastly, we do get the continuation of The War. This is part 2 of that story, which is another one of the ongoings that's supposed to be in this. This is Garth Ennis's story. And it's just interesting to see because we don't actually know what's going on. These are like the first part of the issue was them sitting around at a party, like a group of like 30-somethings sitting around at a party, and all kind of talking about like how a war was breaking out in another country and how like it wouldn't spread, it would never go beyond that, and they were all kind of like speculating and talking about the politics of it all. And in this issue, they're kind of all like talking about how it's impacting them now and the different things of like, oh, what did spread to this place, but it's not going to spread here, but oh, like, don't go over there, like, everybody should stay put. And it's just kind of that sense of dread that comes with the reality of something like a war going across countries, and just everybody, that tension that you almost build, and you can't tell if you're building the tension yourself or if there is actually something to be afraid of. And so it's like these people who are like, oh, there's nothing to worry about, but then the other people are like so engrossed in it. Like one guy's like constantly like on the phone, like talking it out with people or listening to podcasts and stuff, and it's just kind of like, is it all self-inflicted fear, or is there actually something to worry about? We still don't know, like 2 stories in so far, like 2 issues of it, and we don't really know if there's going to be something. The Last Wardens, issue 2 from Mad Cave. This is all about a girl who is living at home alone with her dad, and he's kind of just like a alcoholic and abusive, and she just keeps missing her brother, who suddenly just magically appears, who's supposed to be in war, and he's like walking through the woods, and she's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe you're here, I'm so happy, and like everybody in town's like, he's a deserter, like, how is he here? And then suddenly, like, this evil spirit like pops out of him in the end of like the second half of issue 1 and like covers their house and all this stuff, and these weird crazy creatures who she's never seen before and different people from different time periods show up, and they're like, hey, we're the Wardens, we're here to save you from this evil thing, and they get her out of the house, and she's like, I have to go back, my brother's in there. And issue 2 picks up right in that spot where she's like, I have to go back, like, I'm not gonna leave my brother, I'm not gonna lose him again. And they're like, you can't just, like, you're not one of us, you're not supposed to be in here. And so we kind of see her just take charge and decide that she's going to be a part of it, and we're going to see how her and this crazy ragtag group of defenders against evil can kind of work together to save the day, or not. Maybe I don't know, they don't seem to be getting any progress of actually getting stuff taken care of here, so we're going to see if they can make it out, is really where we're going with this. But she's got so much spunk, I love her, and I can't wait to see how she eventually gets like recruited to this team, I'm sure. We've got The Rocketeer Breaks Free issue 2, and this is from IDW, and it's another great Rocketeer story, and it is, I could honestly, give you the easy rundown of it. Is the Rocketeer telling Betty that he's not going to be the Rocketeer anymore, and then rocketeering. But in this specific story, they go out to Hollywood because Betty has, or they go to San Francisco, I should say, because Betty has a movie that she's going to be filming, and of course she wants Cliff to be there for her, and she doesn't want him to be the Rocketeer because she wants it to be all about her. And they go out there, and they end up, they're on a nice date while all their friends are checking out the Golden Gate Bridge, and somebody attacks the bridge, and Cliff's like, well, our friends are on that bridge, but if you don't want me to be the Rocketeer, I guess I just will let our friends die. And Betty's like, obviously go, like, go save our friends. And so he goes to try to save their friends. He finds out that there's bad guys who have been using his own, like, Rocketeer-style technology. And so he is having to fight against people who have pretty much all the same skills and tech that he does. And, of course, every time that he thinks they're safe, and opens his mouth to say something bad, more bad things happen, and we're going to continue to see how that goes down as the Rocketeer takes San Francisco. We've got The Hunger in the Dusk, Volume 2, Issue 2 from IDW. It's a great IDW week, too, man. It's a lot of books from them. This is another one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. This is the story of a girl who is a royalty in the orc world, and all of the orcs, like, have different realms. They don't, like, kind of talk to each other, but they've needed to unite themselves, but they also need to unite with humanity and other creatures, because there is a massive threat called the Vangals that is just, like, destroying everything, and nobody can figure it out. And in Volume 1, she was sent out to join the humans with the last men standing as their healer, and kind of take on, like, these help these warriors take on these evil bad guys. Well, she and the main guy from the last men standing may have been, like, falling in love with each other, and she got scared and she ran away after a stupid fight, and now she shows up in this issue back at her home, and only to find out that they're, like, in dire straits. Like, there's no water, the crops aren't working, they're getting attacked all the time, and nobody really wants to see her there, because they think that if she's there, then that means that she's broken the treaty, and that now they won't have the humans' assistance, and bad things are happening on all fronts, and also she's still in love with the dude. And we need to get back to him, because bad things are going to happen to him while he tries to find her, and she needs to be with him because that's who she's supposed to be with. And this story is so good. G. Willow Wilson is such a perfect storyteller and can make you fall in love with every character on every page and every story piece that she puts together. It is so intricately woven, so wonderfully done. If you didn't read Hunger in the Dusk Volume 1, you have to read Volume 2, but you should. And it is in trade paperback form now, so you can. We've got 7 Years in Darkness, Year 2, Issue 2, and this is from CEX Publishing. This is all about a world where there are magical families, and 72 students are chosen to go into the darkness for 7 years and train on how to become the greatest, like, magic wielders, wizards, whatever you want to call them, for their people group, and only 7 of them make it out. It's not like a Harry Potter or something like that, where it's like, oh, everybody will get out and you'll have a different job. It's like, no, you're gonna die, probably. If you're not the chosen one, you're not alive. And they've been dealing with a lot of problems for that, and as they've entered into Year 2, they've been given familiars, if they earned one, essentially, like if a familiar came to you. And one of our main characters, Matt, he has recently had a familiar come to him that is a black cat that has a spirit inside of it. And that black cat in this issue is telling us all of the work he is doing to investigate what is actually going on, because nobody in the school administration is doing anything about it. And so this is kind of just the cat story of snooping and spying and redirecting and controlling what is actually happening behind the scenes of this school to keep everybody safe. And this is another one where if you didn't read the first year of the story, you need to go back and get that. They made a great like not trade, but like oversized issue that had all 4 of the first ones in there for year 1. And I believe a trade is coming. I believe Joseph Schmock just had that up for coming soon kind of situation. But this is so good. It is fantastic. One of the best. You absolutely need to read it. We've got White Boat, issue 2 from Distillery, and I'm going to open this up a little bit, Matt, so you can see the beautiful Francavilla wraparound cover. Oh my god, this is so good. Honestly, you just buy it for this Francavilla wraparound cover, but it also has Francavilla interior art and Scott Snyder writing. So this is the story of a guy who, when he was a kid, his brother, his dad, and himself went out on a boat. That boat ended up coming in contact with a rogue wave. Bad things happened. His brother was lost forever, and ever since then he's kind of just like been just still obsessed with the sea. He's actually a journalist who writes about yachts and stuff now, but he has been trying to get an invitation to the luxurious White Boat Forever, which is the famed boats of the most money that you could possibly have. And so he is finally given that opportunity, only to find out that the White Boat is not what you think it is. It has a very mysterious story, and in this issue we actually get to see that boat take us to essentially another space and time, a triangle, a once known triangle, I should say. It's and then beyond from there, and he gets to see these people who are trying to alter and change humanity based off of different mythological stories, and he gets very invested in it because of some personal ties that he might have to that story, and we are going to figure out how. This is not where I thought Scott Snyder was going with this story at all, and every time I read a Scott Snyder story, I'm like, how do you have this many like things just randomly come together and work every time? This is another one of those, and a great way that he's doing it. We've got the Archie the Decision, and this is a one-shot from Archie Comics written by Tom King, all about what Archie finally trying to choose between Betty and Veronica, and he can't do it. Let me see, I gotta find the best page ever, because Archie is trying to figure out how to choose between Betty and Veronica, and he keeps looking at different pictures of them, and Jughead is like, bro, I know what you mean. It's really hard to choose between a hamburger and a cheeseburger. And like has this like great thing, and he's like, you know what, I have decided the best way to make that decision, Archie, is to just flip a coin. And he's like, Jughead, that's the dumbest idea ever, let's do it. And so they decide to flip a coin, but in the process Hot Dog jumps up and knocks the coin out the window, and so they start chasing the coin down the street. Jughead, who of course wasn't supposed to tell anybody, ends up telling everybody they see what they're doing. So every character that's ever appeared in an Archie comic ever gets wrangled into finding out whether or not Archie is finally going to make this decision and what this decision is going to be. This is a full story that's not like a usual Archie comic where it's got a backup, a bunch of stories. This is actually just a full story of Archie trying to make his decision. And it's Tom King with Dan Perrin on art, and if you're an Archie fan, this is one that you must read. And I'm not going to tell you whether or not Archie makes a decision. I'll just hand you that. Barbaric versus Deathstalker from Vault Comics. This is a one-shot putting our 2 big sword and sorcery franchises from Vault together. This is, our Owen and Soren and Axe from Barbaric are trying to enjoy their time at the beach when a wizard steals them from their space and makes them travel to another world. And when he gets them in that other world, they meet the Deathstalker, and he's like, okay, what are we doing here? And this wizard's like, I want to put y'all against each other in a battle to the death. And they're like, yeah, we don't want to fight each other. And they're like, well, you can't leave until you do. And Deathstalker's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to do that. And so Deathstalker, who has the magic sword that could actually kill the wizard, decides he's not going to do that. And Owen and Soren, who don't want to be stuck there, are like, we're going to have to go get this guy. But also they can't fight Deathstalker because he hasn't done anything wrong. And Owen can only kill people who have actually done something wrong. And so they go out, they find out that Deathstalker has found a bunch of ladies that he's now using as like his menagerie and his like warriors. And so he's like basically got these women like convinced he's the king, and the wizard's like, well, technically you kind of win then, because you don't even have to fight, and you have this like perfect like world. And so Owen's like, yeah, we're not going to do this. And so it basically ends up being Owen and Soren and Deathstalker and Axe having to figure out how to work together in order to stop this evil wizard who is going to kill all of them, whether they want to fight each other or not. It's just ridiculous. Hijinks ensuing after that, and a lot of battles and people fighting each other. If you're a fan of either property, you're probably a fan of both properties, so you definitely need to add this to your collection. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of them crossing over as the time does come. We've got the Cursed Library, the alpha issue from Archie Comics. This is Jinx, who is the daughter of the devil, who is a kid in the Archie Riverdale universe, who finds out that her dad is just trying to take over everything, and she's real mad about it, and he started an apocalypse, and she's really annoyed. So she captures Madam Satan, takes him to her father, and is like, look, if you let me and my friend go and be free and not have to deal with any of this, like, I won't be mad at you for all the stuff that you're doing to everybody else in Riverdale. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. You need to sit here. And they're like, okay, fine, we'll both roll with you. And he's like, oh, that's not what I want either, but I guess if that's the only option. And it's just really funny to see, like, the Baphomet style, like, satanic goat creature sitting in a suit at a dinner table trying to have a nice dinner with his daughter. This is actually an alpha issue. We are going to see more of this to see whether or not Jinx is able to not only take her father down and restore all of Riverdale, but whether or not, she can make the choices to be the good person that she's supposed to be, because she's kind of starting to blur that line just a little bit for herself as she fights him. Popeye is back. We have I Like Popeye #1 from Massive Comics, and this is all about a reporter coming to interview Popeye about his mysterious missing eye. Why has Popeye always got one eye closed? What's gone on with his eye? Is it poisoned? Is there a secret magical eye in there? What is it? And we get to hear a bunch of tall fishtail kind of stories from all the different Popeye characters that you know and love about what it was that happened to Popeye's eye, who actually did it. The only person who doesn't get to tell the story about his eye is Popeye. But of course, it wouldn't be a Popeye cartoon or comic in this case if that wasn't actually all a big mystery switch up that has us having to have Popeye take down some evil sea hags who are after him and all of his spinach and power and everything that he has inside of him, and Popeye having to do some big battles against some monstrous creatures. If you're a fan of classic Popeye comics and cartoons, you definitely need to grab this, because it is definitely reminiscent of all of that. And of course, good to read with the whole family. All right, we've got Hidden Star 1, 2, 3, and 4 all out at the same time. This is part of the Star Runners Chronicle. We've had Fallen Star, Dark Star, and Rising Star before. And so this is, I think it's Atlantis Studios that puts this out. Yeah. And so I'm just going to tell you about issue 1. I'm not going to tell you about the series, but the whole series is out, so you can grab it all at one time. This is the story of a girl named Aurora who finds out in one of the previous volumes that she is actually an alien who has all of these cool powers, and now she's just trying to live her life normal. Her friends are, all in on it. They kind of know what's going on, and in this story, one of her friends and her are having to deal with the dreaded high school situation and dealing with the science project that is to come that's going to be super hard, and they're like, hey, can we use your super secret alien tech to deal with this? And then on top of that, the boy that she kind of likes, who's also involved, his father and him are doing some research in another country down in some secret caves to try to find out like how long her people have been coming to this, and like the secret of her alien race that may be connected with humanity. And something happens, and the dad, while he's on that dig, starts to get very ill, and we're going to see in those 4 issues, you're going to see how that plays out, what that means, and did Aurora helping save people from a burning building possibly cause the evil bad guys to find her? You got to read the whole series, and it's all here, so you don't even have to wait. We've got Life, issue 1 from Distillery. This is a flip book, or as the Dave Pilkey kids will call it, a flip-a-rama, because it flips up and down. It's not a flip-a-rama in the Dave Pilkey way, but I just wanted to use the terminology flip-a-rama because it's a funny word. But this is all about a group of people. One side of the story is all about what they call the pros, who are these people who are going to try to break into a prison planet because there is supposed to be all kinds of secret treasure and everything hidden on there. And as far as they know, nobody has lived on that planet in a long time. Like, there's no readings of humanity or life on it. And so they have this massive plan to go out into space and go to this prison planet and rob the whole thing. Meanwhile, the other side of the story is the cons, which actually, which I think I just showed you that, yeah. The cons, which is actually about a group of prisoners back when they were sending prisoners up there. We get to see the very prisoners that they like sent up there, find out what it was that they did that was wrong that caused them to be on the, like, you're getting sent to the prison planet, how they got sent up there, what kind of stuff they were experimenting on them with. We're going to see both of these stories play out. This is written by Stephanie Phillips and Brian Azzarello working together for the first time on a story, so it's kind of cool to see their two styles come together and get two stories in one. We've got Void Silver issue 1 from Bad Egg Comics. This is all about a little kid who wants to be a magician, and it takes place in the late 90s, and he knows that wizards exist, and he's really excited, and he hopes that he's going to get to have the wizarding powers that everybody else has around him, like a bunch of the other kids. And one day he actually has a man spot him on the street that's like, you've got the markings, you're going to do it. And he starts having these weird dreams, and he tells his mom, I think I'm supposed to be a wizard. Turns out he is. And so he starts doing the training to prep for the test, because you can't go to the wizard school and start actually becoming a wizard until you pass a test that proves that you are in fact meant to be it. And so he goes through this entire issue training on all the different kinds of spells and magic that he needs to learn, and it ends with him going to take his test, and we see how that works out for him and what's going to come for him in his future by the time of the end. It's just really a cute story and just a very fun kind of young adult story about maybe even a little bit younger in times, because you feel like you get that this is the person who is definitely your chosen one, but also like maybe not kind of situation. And so it's kind of a fun look at that kind of story. If you like magical stories, definitely read them. Is it ongoing or one shot? It's ongoing. Yeah, okay. That's not the end. It sounded like it was a one shot. No, it's not the end. No, we figure out whether or not he gets into the school by the end, but we don't figure out whether or not he's actually like a magical boy by the end. So, this is Odina. It's another number 1. This is another new story from Concrete, which I'm excited to see them putting out another superhero story. And this is all about Odina, who is a superhero, but she kind of has a bad, like, I don't need to be a part of a team kind of attitude. Like, she's definitely that girl that's going to be on her own. And in this, the team of superheroes, kind of like their Justice League, is fighting against this bad guy, and they're like, we need your help, you're the only one who can actually stop them. She comes in and like stops this bad guy, and they're like, see, this is why you should be a part of our team. And she's like, ugh, I don't want to be on your team, like, I'm not here for that. But she ends up having to work with them specifically for this mission, and kind of sees like that what she's got going on and like what they're got going on still does not work for her. And so she is kind of getting into fights with the people she's supposed to be allies with, and she's got to figure out how to work it out with them, because if they can't work it out together, they're not ever going to be able to come together to stop this villain. And we're going to see how that plays out as that goes on. The somewhat incredible Jackie Boyman issue 1, also from Bad Egg Comics. This is hilarious. This is all about a guy who works essentially for Uber Eats, and he is trying to deliver food, and he's constantly like not like delivering to he's delivering to places where people like say they didn't get their food, or they give him 1-star reviews, and he's just like not getting paid, not getting any tips. He like hates it, and he's like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. And so he's trying to prove to the person he delivers for that he is not the thief that is stealing the food that's causing the man to have to keep doing refunds, and he ends up going to a lab to deliver. And he avoids the security guard because he thinks that's who's actually delivering it. And when he goes into the lab, he accidentally gets electrocuted by some stuff and accidentally gets some superpowers. And he's like, hey, I got to do stuff to help people. But also, like, I gotta take these deliveries because if I don't, I'm not gonna have any money. And so I love it because every time there's a kid, like a young person, 20-something, whatever, they get superpowers and suddenly they just like stop doing their day job and they're like, oh, I've gotta like be a superhero now. And it's like, how did they eat? Where do they get this money from? And I love this because this one still kind of plays into the, you gotta figure out how you're gonna eat and do the thing. And I absolutely want to see more of how Jackie Boyman gets his powers to work. And also, when you find out why that's his superhero name, it's just hilarious. You guys got to read this one. This was super great. And I can't wait to see more from them. And it's got a lot of heart in it, too, which I absolutely love from my superhero stories. For my sci-fi fans, once again, here's another great one for you in Convert, issue 1 from Image. This is all about this guy who gets he's like an eco like biologist kind of guy, and he's sent to space on a space mission. And while he's there, everything goes wrong. Like he loses contact. He loses all of the people that are traveling with him, and now he's like stuck on this planet by himself. And he's just trying to figure out how to live. And so one of the things he does is he decides he's going to keep a journal. And so the whole story is him just writing in this journal about all of his experiences. And we see, him try to find food. We see him try to find water. We see him try to like live his life, and what's out there and what's going to happen and where is his story going to go. It could go a million different places right now, and I think we're going to see a lot of those options actually come to fruition. And then we've got Register issue 1 from Good Trouble Comics, which is actually owned, or at least partially funded, I guess, or supported by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Matt Faction, which is super cool. They did not write this story, but it is their comics that they're putting out. And this is all about a girl who, her mom is one of the people who works as like a voting proctor. And so she comes home and she's 18. So her dad's like, this is the first year you get to vote. Make sure you're registered. Make sure you're kind of like doing the thing. And she's like, yeah, I know. And in the middle of the night, she ends up hearing music coming from like the rooftop of her apartment. And she goes up there and a guy is playing a guitar. And he says he's a friend of her mom's, and he starts telling her about why it's so important to vote and how we got the right to vote for young people. And it goes through all the history, and it is very, very, very like heavy on the history, like actually explains it, shows you everybody in every position that they took and how it got there. And then the second part of the story kind of shows us the more disenfranchised voters getting the right to vote and how the other amendments came to be. And it just kind of walks us through all the different people who didn't have the right to vote and how they got it over the course of time as kids learn about it and encourages people to vote. It also gives you resources to know where to register, but also one of the coolest things is everything in here has every issue that they do, their big thing is that they also give you the notes and citations, and they also give you all of the historical information so you can go look it up, and as well as resources to other books, so if you want to like continue to learn. So super cool. All right, so I've got 3 picks of the week for you. I'm gonna start with this one. We have Something Is Killing Children issue 40 from Boom Studios. This was actually this is supposed to be like a big stop point, I guess, for us for Something Is Killing Children for this story arc. I actually really like this arc in the end because it's really giving us a lot of emotion for Erica. It's just something we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm not going to show you too much of this issue. I just want to tell you that like one of the things we haven't seen for Erica is we always see her hunting and we always see her killing monsters, and if you don't know, that's what Something Is Killing the Children primarily is supposed to be all about, is dealing with the monster hunting. And this has taken us back to before the first volume, where we see Erica first introduced as somebody who comes to stop these imaginary monsters that kids are dealing with. And I'm not going to show you anything else because it's all spoilers. But this is Erica really dealing with the emotion behind having to be somebody that goes in and not only kills those monsters, but has to watch the children die, and how she's dealing with death and how she processes it. And in this issue, we see exactly what that means to Erica and what a monster really is to her. And it was actually really great to see James kind of give Erica an emotional background story in this arc, but specifically wrap it up in there. We've also got the Universal Monsters Frankenstein issue 1 out this week. I'm so excited. Happy birthday, Mary Shelley. Here, your legacy continues. And this is done by Michael Walsh, who did the Silver Coin anthology. And it's really cool because he is doing a blended kind of thing where this is half full story, half anthology. And so we are going to see essentially how all of the body parts that make up the main pieces of the creature came together to make the creature. But we're still actually seeing the story completely play out. And so in issue 1, we actually see a little boy who is sitting at the graveside of his father, talking about the love he had for his father and everything he meant to him. And then we see Victor come and dig up that body, and we kind of see how the little boy like follows him back to the lab, and we see the story of Frankenstein play out, but we also see what that actually is supposed to mean, and what a body and what the sum of its parts are for a creature and a human and a monster and all of it. And this is going to be such a great story. I cannot wait to see how it plays out. Definitely check that out if you're a fan of the Universal Monsters. And lastly, my ultimate pick of the week is Sesame Street #1 from Oni Press. This is the most heartfelt, wonderful, amazing thing that I needed this week. And just remind me of how much I love all of you in my Bat fam. This is Grover lends a hand, and it is Grover waking up and realizing it's a beautiful day and just wanting to have like this awesome, amazing day, and assuming that like he's having an amazing day so everybody else will too. But when he gets out on the street, he learns that everybody is experiencing like hardships, like people can't get things built, people are struggling with making decisions on how to help people are grumpy because they're missing stuff, and Grover just doesn't want his friends to suffer. And so he realizes that the best thing that anybody can do is help their friends with their problems, and the best way to do that is by helping people find the people who are the right persons to help them. And so he matches up everybody that's got similar problems with the skill set that's going to help them, and gets them all to work together so that he can make everybody on the street have a wonderful, happy day. And it's just so good. And whether you're an adult or a kid, this book is absolutely amazing, and it will make you feel good about yourself and about your life, and will make you just remember that the most important thing you can do is to help somebody else. Thanks, Oni Press, for bringing Sesame Street to comic books. Kids were so excited about it all week long. All right, we've got a bunch of books still in stock. We've got Nice House by the Sea, issue 2. This is essentially volume 2 of Nice House on the Lake. So if you didn't read that, you cannot read this. I'm sorry. You have to read Nice House on the Lake first. We have Recognized, which is an LGBTQ anthology, also from Good Trouble Comics, to just give you some more of those amazing, like, real-world stories, and blended with historical fiction. Berserker, The Lost Book of B, issue 1 is out. This is a one-shot from Boom Studio, and this is the Erica Slaughter variant. Every Boom Studios title is going to have an Erica Slaughter variant in honor of the 5-year anniversary of Something is Killing the Children. We've got Ramgod issue 2 from Massive. We've got a Transformers 40th anniversary facsimile. This is a facsimile of the Marvel Transformers book, but now that Image Skybound owns it, it's actually getting an Image Skybound label. So it's really cool because it's a facsimile, except for the fact that label is complete, like corner box is completely changed. So that's kind of fascinating, and you should definitely own one for that reason. We have a 30th anniversary for 0 Hour coming out with a special. Power Girl issue 12. We have the end of Nottingham with issue 15, saying goodbye to that from Dark Robin Hood adventure from Mad Cave. Nemesis Rogues Gallery issue 2, Monstrous issue 54. Marvel celebrated their 85th anniversary with an anthology with just celebrating all kinds of heroes and great moments in Marvel history. We've got Philadelphia issue 35, Green Arrow issue 15. My girl Zatanna has book 3 out of her series, and it is fantastic. You need to be grabbing that. X-Force issue 2, Venom Separation Anxiety issue 4 with that Marvel photo frame cover. We've got Venom War Zombiotes and Venomverse Reborn. We have Star Wars Ahsoka issue 2, Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider issue 4. We've got Chasm, The Curse of Cain out this week with issue 1. We've got Amazing Spider-Man. It's issue 56, but it's also issue 950. We've got King Spawn 37, Spawn Killing Everybody in issue 2. We've got Rogue Sun continuing with issue 21 and your Hulk annual issue, obviously issue 1, it's a one-shot. We've got Gotham City Sirens wrapping up already with issue 4. If you didn't catch all of those, make sure you do. Fantastic Four 24, Captain America number 12. We've got The Flash issue 8 and Batman Dark Age issue 6 is out this week. That is issue 6, right? That is where we are. No, issue 5, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got Batman the Brave and the Bold issue 16. Detective Comics is on number 1088. Goodness gracious. I already grabbed those. We've got some trade papers back in stock. Past the Last Mountain is finally in trade paperback from CEX. Oh my god, I love this book. Please read it. It's amazing. We've got Spider-Gwen Smash, the most recent Spider-Gwen series prior to the one ongoing right now. All of that collected in there. We've got I Wish I Was the Cat in its 10th anniversary edition, I guess I should say. The Night Never Ends, which is a horror comedy. It's got a hilarious story in it. You're going to want to definitely check it out. Kanto the Lionhearted is out in hardcover to catch you up with where we are in the current Kanto ongoing story. This will get you all caught up so that you can go on to the single issues that are happening now. Dark Spaces Dungeon is out. What a wicked story Scott Snyder told in that one. We've got Kate Carew, America's first great American woman cartoonist. You've got to check this out. This is a great biography on her. And then, if you didn't grab it this week, Superman versus Muhammad Ali, the Treasury edition of the actual name of the book is the all-new something. What is it? What is the actual name of the book? There's like a whole name for all of these facsimiles. I think it is like All New Collectors something.
Is that why I couldn't find it in the system?
Yeah, it's like All New Collectors, because that's what all of these Treasury editions actually come out under in the name. But anyway, it's Superman Muhammad Ali as far as we're all concerned, and it's foil, and it's amazing.
And we have regulars.
And we do have regulars for everybody that wants the regular too, because you've like never gotten a chance to read it, or you haven't had one since you were a kid. You can get this. It's fantastic. Check it out. And it's super cool that DC's putting those out. That's all the books that we have. Don't forget, we are never open on Mondays, so there is not a Labor Day thing happening tomorrow because we're always closed on Mondays. But we will see you this Wednesday for New Comic Book Day, and we'll be back next Sunday at a regularly scheduled bat time for winding down your weekend with a bottle of wine that I don't have right now. Until then, everybody, we'll see you later, and happy reading.